I still remember the sound, not of gunfire, not of tanks, but of snow cracking beneath our boots. It was December 1942. The Volga River had frozen over, and the world itself seemed to hold its breath. They told us Stalingrad would be over in a few weeks. They told us the Red Army was finished. They told us many things. But the snow does not lie. The snow only buries the truth. My name was Wilhelm Adler, 21 years old, 6th Army, Wehrmacht Infantry. I joined the campaign in June when the fields were green and the sky still spoke of summer. We were told this war would end quickly, that the Soviet bear was already dying. We marched east with songs and flags, convinced of our purpose. But by the time we reached Stalingrad, even the songs had frozen in our throats. The diary I kept was nothing special. A worn brown notebook I'd taken from a village school. Inside, my handwriting trembled from the cold. Every word became smaller as the winter deepened. Every sentence a plea not to vanish into the white. August 22nd, 1942. We crossed the Don under artillery fire. The air smelled of dust and iron. Our trucks roared past burning villages. Children watched us from doorways, silent, expressionless. We had become a moving storm, swallowing everything in our path. By September, Stalingrad was a wound that never stopped bleeding. The city burned without sound, smothered under smoke. We fought street by street, house by house, sometimes room by room. Our rifles grew hot, our hands numb. We learned to fight for staircases, for ruins, for walls that barely stood. The Russians would not retreat. They rose from the rubble like ghosts. There was one night. I wrote about it because I couldn't forget. The snow had begun to fall again, thick and heavy, hiding the dead. Our unit found shelter in a collapsed factory. Inside were 2 Soviet soldiers, barely alive. Our lieutenant ordered us to shoot them, but one of them, a boy no older than me, whispered something in Russian. I didn't understand the words, but I saw his eyes. They were the same color as mine. I turned away before the shots rang out. October 12th. We had no bread left. The rations were frost and memory. We melted snow for water, scraping soot from pots. Men began to speak of home less and less, as if the idea itself were too heavy to carry. Letters stopped coming. The mail trains were gone, swallowed by the front. All we had now were rumors. Rumors that the Russians were preparing something massive. Rumors that winter would finish what bullets had not. When the encirclement came in November, it was like waking from a nightmare into another. The Red Army closed the ring, and suddenly we were alone. Hundreds of thousands of us, trapped in a frozen graveyard. Command still promised relief. They said the Luftwaffe would supply us. But the planes rarely came, and when they did, they dropped crates into the snow miles away. We chased them like starving dogs. November 30th. Hans, my closest friend, died today. Not from a bullet, but hunger. He was eating the pages of his own diary when he stopped breathing. I buried him under the floorboards of a ruined house, whispering a prayer I didn't believe in. When I covered his body with snow, it felt like I was burying a part of myself. We stopped shaving. We stopped writing. We stopped being soldiers. We were just men waiting for the cold to choose us. Frostbite took fingers first, then toes. The wounded screamed for morphine that no longer existed. The dead froze where they lay, eyes open, staring at nothing. In early January, the Soviet loudspeakers began again. They spoke in German now. promising mercy, food, survival, if we surrendered. Our officers tore down the leaflets, calling them lies. But every man kept one hidden in his coat, reading it at night when the wind howled through the ruins. January 21st, 1943. The city was nothing but rubble. We had eaten the horses, the rats, even the wallpaper paste. The air stank of death and fuel. We heard rumors that Paulus would surrender soon, though none of us believed a general would admit defeat. But by then, defeat had become the only truth left. It was in the air, in our breath, in the sound of our hearts slowing. The last entry I wrote was smudged with blood. My own, maybe. It read simply, "I wonder if my mother still believes in God." After that, the diary ends. The rest of Wilhelm Adler's story was pieced together from Soviet records. He was captured on February 2nd, 1943, the day the Sixth Army finally surrendered. He spent 6 years in a labor camp near the Ural Mountains. He never returned home. His diary was found decades later in the ruins of Stalingrad, pressed between bricks, still stained with melted snow. A soldier's final testament to a war that devoured millions. They called it the Eastern Front. But to those who lived and died there, it was something else. It was the edge of the world. This was Diary of a Soldier on the Eastern Front, a true account brought to life by War Tales World War II. Every war leaves behind stories, fragile, buried, half forgotten. Here we uncover them, because the voices of the past still echo, if you listen.